welcome to Shanghai, China, for what I've no doubt is going to be a fantastic F1 qualifying session. I was looking at some highlights of previous races here, and the one thing that really stood out to me was the run down to turn one. It's not an easy one to navigate as everyone is scrapping to get into there first.
We've seen in the past how tricky the first corner is. It's not an issue in practice and qualifying, but if you throw a lot of highly competitive drivers at it all at once, you've got an entirely different situation. The smarter drivers will be able to temper their approach and stay out of trouble, but it doesn't mean it's easy.
Hello everyone, welcome back to round number 3 in the Sebastian Vettel driver career mode. We're here at China for the Chinese Grand Prix. Yeah, looks like we might get some rain towards the end of our race, so that could be pretty interesting. But we're here in qualifying now for the one-shot qualifying, as we always do. If you haven't watched Bahrain or Australia, I'd recommend you go check them out. We've got some pretty decent results for the championship. However, we are in the chase to stop one man, and that is Lewis Hamilton, who's run away with 2 wins in a row. Spoiler alert, I probably should have said the spoiler alert at the beginning. Anyway, yeah, like I said, China. I'm pretty decent around China, so let's see what we can do against the Ultimate AI. The race and also qualies. Let's see if we can get our first pole position of the season. We've had 2 4th places. So we've beaten our teammate once and have been behind our teammate once. So let's see if we can do even better and get onto the front row of the grid this time. And see how we perform against the other guys. A little bit deep, which has kind of cost us quite a few positions actually. Max Verstappen leads the way in the Red Bull. However, we might see a Mercedes come by in the long straight, where the straight line speed is definitely going to play a big impact in overtaking with the slipstream and the DRS. Let's see if we can gain in positions down to the hairpin. We're still in 5th place after a bit of a messy second sector. We've moved our way up into 4th. Can we maybe get a 3rd, or hopefully try and get onto the front row of the grid? Be a good improvement from the last 2 races. It seems to be a good exit. We are going to be P3. So it's an improvement, and I reckon it was close. I reckon it's close. We'll just have to wait and see.
Race,
oh!
Let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Verstappen, Bottas and Sebastian Vettel. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Let's hope it's a fantastic race. There's your grid order. But, you know, it's going to be gone through again by our good old commentators for the race. So close. But our first pole position is yet to come, unfortunately. But here we go then for the round number 3 Chinese Grand Prix.
Hello and welcome, where it's all eyes on the grid and the final preparations ahead of today's championship race. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles an hour, with DRS assisting the cars down the back straight before they brake into the sharp hairpin at turn 14. I'm joined again today by none other than Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, obviously there's a lot of development work that goes on with these cars between the races. You've been both a test driver and a race driver. What differences are there in the way you approach those roles?
Interesting question, Crofty. They're 2 very different mindsets. I mean, when I tested for BAR, we had full in-season testing where, per driver, you'd cover up to 15,000 kilometers per season. And in that role, it was more about working for the team, trying to help them improve the car and drive as systematically as you could, so that data could be analysed in the most consistent way. When you're lining up on the grid for a race, however, your frame of mind's all about what you can get out of the situation on that day. and the car's the tool to help you achieve what you want. You still want to focus on setup, of course, but it's more about the here and now, getting yourself as far up the field as possible, and less about development work for the future.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Hamilton, Alexander Albon, and Leclerc, Perez, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, and Pierre Gasly, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Lando Norris, and Sainz, Kvyat, Grosjean, Lance Stroll, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Kubica and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So there you have it. There was your grid order for the Chinese Grand Prix round number 3. Lewis Hamilton not getting the best of qualifying.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
We won't let you down, Jeff, but look at the weather we're going to have. We could have some rain for the end of the race. That could make things interesting. Dry tyres, wet track, but we're going to be starting on the left hand side of the grid for the first time this season, I think, as all the quick lights out. Actually, I didn't even get a chance to say 5 red lights, and away we go. But away we do go. In P3 we do have Lewis Hamilton down our inside, and maybe actually Alex Albon down our inside as well, as he's gone for the inside of Mercedes. And we've completely messed up and gone so wide, and we're all the way down into 13th, 14th. What a shocking start. We're now going to have to do a bit of a comeback job, actually. Oh, there's a dive from a Haas, as there's not much room to go either on the inside or the outside. We got forced to the outside, really, and have to settle for P14. Maybe look for a move on Nico Hülkenberg down the inside. That door was shut very quickly. But what a horrible start. Now all the way down 14th, so it's going to have to be a comeback drive from us. We're going to go down the inside of the Renault driver. Closes the door again. And we're down in last place. This is going to be a last question mark challenge. Not good for us. We've only got 14 laps to make up the positions lost after a shocking start. We're going to go down the inside.
Preparations on the grid are wrapping up as we brace ourselves for the start of today's big race. Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location, tests their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and overtaking is available into turn 1 and of course down the kilometre-long back straight into the hairpin at turn 14. It's just about time to go to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Hamilton, Alexander Albon, and Leclerc, Perez, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, and Pierre Gasly, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Lando Norris, and Sainz, Kvyat, Grosjean, Lance Stroll, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Kubica and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Right then, we're back for round number 3. Hello everyone. You join us at China, where we're starting P3 on the grid. Going to be another one stop here. 14 laps at China. You can see on the radar or the weather that there will be rain towards the end of this race, so that should make things interesting. The reason there's no qualifying is because I forgot to record the qualifying. So that was an issue, but 5 lights and it's lights out. And away we go. Lewis Hamilton, our championship rival, is currently down in 4th place after he had a bit of a bad qualifying session. We're already been dive bombed by the Mercedes, lucky not to lose a wheel or an end plate. That was just a minor issue there with the Mercedes. Just a minor issue. Yeah, nothing happened. You saw nothing. No one saw anything. I'm gonna get so much hate comments now. But anyway, up into P3. I said up into P3. We're back in P3 after Hamilton span. I don't know why he span, but he just, you know, just span. So now we're hunting down Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen, who are currently the 2 people in front of us. We do have Alex Albon in the Red Bull behind us. So we're going to have to do some defending from him in this race as well. It also will be interesting to see when the rain comes down, whether it will be right at the end or a few laps before the end of the race, so whether intermediates might actually be on the table. But forgetting about the intermediates, let's concentrate on where we are now. P3, almost at the end of lap 1, trying to hunt down the Finnish driver of Valtteri Bottas and that Mercedes. I think our teammate qualified 6th, Charles Leclerc, behind the Red Bull of Alex Albon. I can't quite remember where he qualified, but it wasn't too high. But anyway, I hope you're enjoying the Sebastian Vettel career mode. It is what you've been asking for. Well, it is what some people have been asking for, and hopefully I can get the whole season out before from 2020, and then we can move on to a My Team career mode, which I think will be really fun. If you have any name suggestions or engine suppliers that you want me to go for, whatever it is, then feel free to leave them in the comments. But just let me know where you think I'll finish in the Sebastian Vettel Championship, and how many points you think I'm gonna get, and and then at the end of the season we can compare how many points I got to how many points you think I'm going to get, and then I might round yours to the nearest 10, or I might be generous and something, and we'll see who's the closest. You can also put how many race wins you think I'm going to get, fastest laps, or race whatever I have missed. I've gone wide because I got distracted. But anyway, just leave anything in the comments, anything you want to do with this. But yeah, let's get back on track. I got a bit distracted by the comment section, but yeah, we went wide, and now we've got to defend from Alex Albon, the tyre driver in the Red Bull after being promoted from Toro Rosso. But there seems to be an issue. Oh, that's the issue. It's Valtteri Bottas. That's promoted us up into 2nd place after Valtteri Bottas is retired. Now we are hunting down Max Verstappen. It's also promoted Alex Albon to the podium as Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the race. I'm going to put it into standard revs while we just, you know, not burn. I don't want to burn too much fuel early on. We do go a little bit wide. Opens the door up for Alex, but he doesn't decide to do a move yet, as Max Verstappen's kind of getting a bit of a gap now to us in second place. Probably will get driver of the day actually. We cannot allow Max Verstappen to get driver of the day. Anyway, Alex Albon, currently 2 tenths behind us. Take a nice inside line, which hasn't actually worked. We've gone a bit wide. That's going to allow him to have a nice run. He's going to have the DRS. There you can see the DRS flap opening. We're going to put it down to standard DRS. Would he go to the outside? He does go to the outside. Whether he'll go for a move on the outside. We go a bit deep. He's going to try the cutback move, but decides to tuck in behind for now. That Red Bull's looking pretty feisty in my rearview mirrors, not going to lie. Hopefully Charles Leclerc can catch up to this battle and help overtake Alex Albon, but he goes for a move up the inside into turn 1. Long swooping right-hander before it cuts back with a sharp left into turn 2. As we still go down, keep our car down the inside of Alex Albon. We're still side by side after turn 2 into turn 3 and then turn 4. Will he go for a lunge down on the inside? No, he doesn't. He decides to back out and wait, but whether we'll see him stay out for another lap like we did at Bahrain, and then he got jumped by Charles Leclerc, our teammate, after staying out for an extra lap. So I wonder if Red Bull will make a way for Verstappen to pit this lap, or whether we'll see Alex Albon come into the pits. We'll have to wait and see, but currently I'd say averaging the gap to Max Verstappen. I'm not saying it's getting bigger or smaller. 2.8 seconds, so yeah, it's roughly around that 2.8 second mark, which we need to close down on him, but hopefully we can do something after the pit stops. Maybe he might get held up in some traffic, but go a little bit wide again. Maybe you should have put some more downforce on the car before the race started. I did put on my setup, I believe. Yeah, we are running 4-5 wings, I believe. I'm not too sure. Into the hairpin now. Alex Albon doesn't go for a move, but Charles Leclerc is right behind the tyre driver now. Maybe he might go for a move as Max Verstappen stays out, interestingly. And does Albon come in? No, he doesn't. So I'm the only one of the leaders to pit this early, which is kind of interesting, actually. I might be the only one actually to come into the pit. So lap 4, and I'm going to try the undercut here. Then it seems like 2.7 second stop. It's quite a little bit slow, but we're now onto the medium tyres. We're going to come out in last place, but hopefully with our clean air we can get a good outlap on Verstappen and Albon. Now going up to the pits into turn 1, the long right-hander, where we've got George Russell up in front in the Williams. So far the Williams team haven't scored a point after the first 2 races, but there's still 19 other races to go, including this one, for them to show us what they're made of and get a point or 2 in the championship. 6.7 seconds to Russell, but as you can see on the mini-map, Alex Albon, Verstappen and Leclerc coming up to turn 13 now, the long right-hander before the straight. So whether we'll see Verstappen or Albon pit, I'd be interested to see which one of those two comes into the pits, whether we'll see Charles Leclerc, our teammate, pit this lap, or whether he'll stay out till lap 6. Will be something to keep an eye out for. But hopefully we've made the right call, and that we actually come out in front of Alex Albon again, instead of getting jumped by the overcut. But we'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell. As I'm looking at my mini-map now, and it's Max Verstappen who pits first. Whether we see Charles Leclerc, yes, Charles Leclerc, our teammate, does come into the pits. So Alex Albon stays out for another lap. So he's going to have two laps older softs than our medium tyres. So they're going to be pretty worn by the time he comes into the pits. Maybe Charles Leclerc will be able to do the undercut and jump him. But I think pretty much everyone else is coming to the pits other than the other teammate of the driver who hasn't come into the pits, or whatever I'm trying to say. But we come out right behind Max Verstappen actually, so the gap no longer 2.8 seconds, but more like 8 tenths. So this is really good for us. The undercuts actually worked amazingly for us.
Set the ERS mode to overtake. We have to push.
Yes, Jeff, I do agree. We do have to get past Verstappen before his tyres get heated up and he finds the rhythm. It's now not 4 tenths behind the Dutch driver. So we run a little bit wide through the long left-hand or turn 7, I believe. I'm not too sure. Could have been turn 8. I don't know my tracks well enough at China. My corners well enough at China. Braking at the 100-meter board. Now 3 tenths. So maybe we're going to get DRS in the straight. But he's also going to get DRS off Robert Kubica in the Williams. We're going to pull it up into overtake mode. Open the DRS. Alex Albon's into the pits. Oh my god, we're going to go for a double move down the inside of Max Verstappen and Robert Kubica, but we broke really late. And they're just both going to come flying back through. But I'd imagine Kubica's going to come into the pits. And interestingly, Leclerc's going into the hard tyres. Wonder why that is. And he's come out quite far behind us actually. So he's been held up in the pits massively. Oh, so we've gone a bit late into turn 1. Almost ran into the back of Verstappen. But yeah, look at the gap now to Albon and Leclerc. So pitting early was definitely the right call to make. We haven't been held up by anyone, and now we're definitely catching up to Max Verstappen. Maybe we'll go for a move down the inside. Decide not to.
Gap to teammate behind is 9.2 seconds.
So the gap's gone from 1 second to Leclerc to like 9 seconds. So the pit on lap 5 with everyone else wasn't the way to go. So we've definitely made the right strategy in this race, but the rain is on its way. Whether we'll see it come for the end of the race or just before, we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, hopefully it can make things interesting. Gap now 7 tenths to Verstappen. We just got to keep everything clean and everything should be good. Trying to get a good exit around the final corner, but it's really tricky that corner sometimes. We're going to have the DRS and overtake mode. Let's see what we can do. It goes defensive, but not defensive enough, as we're going to go for a move down the inside. He's locked up, and that's us up into P1. We're leading the Chinese Grand Prix, lap 7 out of 14, halfway through this race. We'll be lap 8 now, as we cross the line to set a new personal best of 1:35.999. Alex Albon 5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. But currently we lead the way so far. See Charles Leclerc, I think he's gaining on Albon. I don't know if you heard that, but 10 minutes until the rain. And if my calculations are correct, it's going to come before the end of the race. There's definitely more than 10 minutes left in this race. As if it's, for example, if it's a minute and a half to do a lap, and there's 6 laps to go, then that's add 1.6 times 8. It's 9. 1.5 times 6, sorry, is 9. So it will come just before the end of the race. Should hopefully spice things up for us at the end. Take a what line am I taking through the right-hander? It's balling, but I don't know if Verstappen's within DRS range. I guess we're going to find out. I think he is. He doesn't seem to be gaining too much on us, so we keep the lead for now into the hairpin penultimate corner. Through the final corner, it's on to lap 9 out of 14. And I don't think commentary's needed for the rest of this race. I think it's going to be a pretty clean one to the end. So I'll let you guys just sit back get your popcorn and 5 laps of fun.
We have 5 laps of fuel remaining. Okay, we should be good on tyres for a while. The wear doesn't seem too bad at the moment. Just take care when you load them up. The car behind is dropping back. We're seeing a gap form. There's 3 laps of fuel remaining. Okay, you're in the top 10. expect the heavy rain to arrive.
Alright, so welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed the past few laps without any commentary.
3 seconds.
You know, nice to kind of watch some gameplay every once in a while, but currently onto the penultimate lap, lap 13 out of 14. It doesn't look like the rain is going to be the rain's not going to come until the end of the race. As you can see on the left hand side, as when we're going to turn 1 next, you can see the clouds arriving, but they're not. I don't think they're going to come in 3 minutes or so. But yeah, we've just been leading this race since lap 7, I believe it was. We kind of got a 3.6 second gap to Verstappen, I believe. So yeah, we're just kind of controlling the race now, and we're on track for our first race win of the season here at the China's Grand Prix round number 3. I believe this result could put us in front of Lewis Hamilton in the championship. Depending on where he finishes, we'll have to wait and see. Running a little bit wide, the wrong right-hander. It's really tricky corner actually to get wrong. Also a good overtaking opportunity if you get a better run than someone. But nevertheless, we have just been setting in some decent lap times, a few personal bests, etc. But yeah, it's been a pretty calm race from us, I'd say. The pit stops definitely helped get us in front of Albon and Leclerc. But yeah, through the final corner now, we're going to start our final lap. I'll give you what's the word? A hot lap of the final lap. So into turn 1, getting nice and close to the curb, down to 4th gear. Just controlling the car. You don't want to go too wide or too slowly, otherwise you can find yourself in the grass or gravel, and then down to 2nd gear for the left-hander. And then a little short shift after 3rd and 4th to try and get the traction on exit, and then hitting the apex of the curb on the right hand side, braking at the 100-meter board for the right-hander, which is pretty awkward. Right-handers, sometimes you want to go a bit wider to get a better run into the next few corners, which is all depends on this corner here. Danny Kvyat's out of the session. You want to have a nice close to the apex and carry the speed over for the next corner in 5th gear, and then dropping it down to 3rd for the left-hander, or for the double left-hander here actually is. Short shifting up to 4th for the traction, going a little bit wide there, but wouldn't affect our time too much. It's not going to be a personal best, but braking again at the 100-meter board, I think, and then another short shift up to 3rd to get the traction on exit. Now, some people take this corner deep, and some people take it on the outside and carry the speed. Both are fine. I just use whatever happens, and then into into overtake mode. Sorry, for the long straight, one of the longest straights in the calendar. And then down for standard, braking just before the 100-meter board into the hairpin, hitting an apex nicely. Running out to the curb slightly, not too much so. There's the Tour de France on the left, and through the final corner. You don't want to go too wide that you get a penalty. Across the final corner, we're going to win the first race of the championship for Sebastian Vettel.
We did it, good job.
And that is our 2nd podium and our first win in this career mode. See what they have to say.
Pulled it out of the bag today. It's a great win. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
And there you have it, round number 3, the Chinese Grand Prix. We do come out on the top step of the podium after battling with Verstappen and Albon. The pit stops definitely helped us secure a 3rd place finish. But anyway, we'll have to see where this result puts us in the standings after, I believe, Lewis Hamilton didn't have the best of races. He finished down in, I think, 6th or something, yeah, down to 6th place, but he does get the fastest lap of the race, so we'll get an extra point. Let's see who gets the driver of the day.
Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
It's got to be Lando Norris, hasn't it? Smooth, confident and assured. I've got no doubt that he and his team are going to be over the moon with his performance today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari take the lead at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
So Lando Norris got the driver of the day then after we pushed Max Verstappen off of his podium position to win the race here at the Chinese Grand Prix. In terms of the standings, we're now only 4 points behind Lewis Hamilton and got 18 point. Leclerc's got an 18-point gap to Hamilton, but still only a 14 point gap between us two. We've got the two Red Bulls close behind, Bottas dropping all the way down into 7th after he had to retire due to an engine failure. In terms of constructors, so that pushes us up into the lead with a 22-point gap over Mercedes. Red Bull close, 8 points behind the Mercedes team, 8 points off of us, and Ferrari. It's also been a good race weekend for the Racing Point and Haas team, moving ahead of Toro Rosso and Alfa Romeo respectively. But Renault still only scoring 1 point, and the Williams team still yet to score a point. But nevertheless, that's been the Chinese Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out the rest of the races that we have done and are going to do. So yeah, hopefully the Baku Grand Prix will be out tomorrow on the day this gets uploaded, and I'll see you next time. But until then, goodbye.